Hello again, and thank you for stopping by the Massachusetts Whiskey Reviews channel of YouTube. My name is Thomas Metal 75, and this is your Massachusetts Whiskey Reviews. And today I bring you a very, how do I say this? It's a distillery for whiskies, for bourbon whiskies, that is gaining a lot of popularity these days. And I was very happy to pick this up several weeks ago. And I bring you the review today. This is from a distillery called RD1, which stands for Registered One Spirits. And this is their uh, bourbon whiskey, the RD1 double finished in oak and maple barrels. Boom. The label says small batch Kentucky straight bourbon whiskey, double finished in oak and maple barrels. And this is a 99.9 proof, a weird number, 99.9 proof, 49.95% alcohol by volume, finished bourbon whiskey. It says on the back of the bottle, Kentucky straight bourbon whiskey, double finished in oak and maple barrels. From the roots and ashes of our past comes the rebirth of Lexington's first federally registered distillery, established in 1865. It is a distinction we honor and will protect you while ushering in a new era of soulful revival, dynamic curiosity, and alluring adventure. In this double finish, we aged our Kentucky straight bourbon with maple syrup steeped oak that captivates an unforgettable dessert-like charm. Hashtag bluegrass glory. Bottled by RD1 Spirits, Stanford, Kentucky. Okay. And there it says registered one distillery out of Lexington, Kentucky. What else can I tell you? Well, at first on my radar came RD1 through a little craze, maybe some of you bourbon whiskey fans have heard about, called the Amberana wood finishing. And Amberana wood, by the way, is primarily used. It's a Brazilian wood that's primarily used for creating things in South America, like essential oils, crafting luxury furniture, and aging and barrel aging Brazil's most popular spirit, cachaça, which is a distilled spirit made from sugarcane juice, which makes it different than rum. However, because rum typically uses the byproduct of sugarcane, which is molasses for distillation. However, there is a kind of a rum that does a similar thing called rum agricole, which is a French territory style of rum that does use sugarcane juice. So similar to rum, in other words. But this is their other spirit done in the oak and the maple barrels. So very cool stuff. RD1 Spirit started in 1865. They were the first federal registered distillery in Lexington, Kentucky, and it was given the designation of RD number 1 for tax district number 7. Later purchased by William Tarr and renamed the William Tarr Distillery. Very cool. In 1897, William Tarr became enamored with railroad growth and began focusing time and investment there. Ultimately, the distillery went up for auction, and ownership would transfer several different times. And we have this here coming back in 2020, the RD1 Spirits. Very, very, very cool. What else can I tell you? Let's pour it in the glass and see what it's like. Cheers. A very squeaky cork. And it's got the RD1. Let me see if I can show you that. It's got RD1 on it, Registered Distillery 1, Lexington, Kentucky, on the cap. Very nice, big looking cap. Squeaky cork, as you heard. And the bottle shape is very unique. Look at the big top. It's got a fence looking design on it. It says RD1. And it has, I don't know what you would call that, but it's easy to hold in the hand, definitely. So before we go any further, on these whiskey reviews, courtesy of Tanner, the East Coast Liquor Reviews. Cheers, East Coast Liquor Reviews. I start to employ a 6-point rating system that will equal out to 100 points. And I posted that in the description below of how we're going to do this. So there's 100 points total for the review. Looks and aesthetics get about 20, up to 20 points. Nosing, flavoring, the flavors, the mouthfeel, and the finish will get 20 points each maximum. And the value of your whiskey will get up to 10 points, equal out to your 100-point rating system. And again, that is courtesy of Tanner from the East Coast Liquor Reviews, that 6 categories for the whiskey reviews. Very cool stuff. Now I'm going to pour it into the Glencairn glass. I will nose the whiskey, sip the whiskey, and put some water in it too a little bit later and see if that does anything for the flavors and for the whiskey itself, and give you a rating out of 100. So let's pour it, shall we? This bottle of whiskey was acquired at Yankee Spirits in South Attleboro, Massachusetts, here in the United States of America. All right. Let's get a look at the bourbon, shall we? I really love this bottle. The aesthetics are very high on this bottle. They tell you what you want to know. They don't tell you how long things were necessarily aged for, but if you go on the rd1spirits.com website, they say that they took French oak staves, first finish, that were steeped in a patented process of pressure, oxygen, time, and temperature with maple syrup, second finish. Anything else? After RD1's Kentucky Straight Bourbon aged for 4+ years, we inserted the French oak and maple stave wood into the barrel for additional finishing. Boom. There you go. 7 minutes in, I haven't reviewed it. All right. So the bottle is almost a 10 out of 10, maybe a 9 out of 10 for the bottle. And the color is a nice copper, almost like an American 1-cent penny. So I will give this whole package and presentation, why not a 9 out of 10. So let me write that down. 9 points. Let's get a nose on the RD1 double finished in oak and maple. Woo! Nice. Has a nice pancake maple syrupy note. I get the pancake and butter with the maple syrup kind of a note to it. I do get the doughiness of a pancake or a waffle. Definitely Belgian waffle kind of pancakey notes. Vanilla, cream. Obviously the maple syrup sweetness is in there. There's a dark fruity note. I do get the oakiness to it. There is an oaky dryness in the background, if that makes any sense. Cinnamons, definitely a cinnamony note. Not a lot of rye, anything like that. There's a nice dessert quality to the nose. This is a great nose for a bourbon. If you're not super into desserty like flavors or aromas to your whiskeys, you may have reservations on this smelling really great, but I really like it. Smells great. Smells very desserty. I will give that an 18 so far out of 20 on the nosing. Let's do the flavor, shall we? Cheers to you all with the RD1 double finished in maple, or in oak, French oak, and maple. Cheers. A little bit of a sharpness from alcohol, not really too bad. It's a little bit of warming in the chest. But overall, that maple barrel is super prominent, and it's got the doughiness of a waffle or a pancake. Some of the buttery notes, like when you put butter mixed with the maple syrup on that waffle and on that pancake. And you take that bite, and it's got everything like a breakfast waffle or a pancake will have. Almost to a T. There's nice cinnamon spice notes to it. There's a little bit of a lip tingling sensation out of that. But yeah, there's definitely some cinnamons, vanilla, cream. I almost said vanilla custard, vanilla cream custard, sure. There's a cakey like element to this too. Makes sense. There definitely is a caramel note coming out. Some dark fruits, not a bunch. A little bit of a dryness, an oaky, tanniny dryness towards the end of the sip. It stays pretty sweet throughout without getting cloying. To me, it's not getting super overbearing with the sweetness. It's a dessert dram, so treat it and go into the assessment to this particular bourbon with the dessert quality in mind. Definitely a toasty quality as well. Yeah, definitely a toasty vanilla kind of a quality as well. I really like that flavor. I don't think that necessarily finished bourbons are everybody's bag of onions, if you will. But I'll rate it the same so far as the nose at an 18 out of 20. This is very good. So 4+ years, let's go to the mouthfeel. So 4+ years, it does have a really refined flavor to it. It doesn't taste young or grainy or youthful. If East Coast Liquor Reviews is still in the chat, correct me if I'm wrong or you have any other thoughts. But the French oak gives a different kind of a sweetness and vanillas. I don't really think I've had a lot of French oak stuff in my life, but I do believe more vanillas. I'm getting the vanilla cream and the vanilla notes probably from that French oak. The mouthfeel. So for 4+ years, it doesn't taste grainy, youthful. It does have a really nice, oily coating, viscous mouthfeel. It does have a little bit of a maple syrup kind of a complexion to it. It does coat the entire mouth really well. And it's definitely just like that maple syrup pancake flavor. So I will give that a. It could actually have. It could be more viscous and oily and complex. I'll give it a 17, but it's pretty damn elegant in the mouthfeel. It's got a nice, sweet, sugary feel, even as it finishes. We'll get to the finish now. So there's one thing to talk to you about with the finish. It does have a nice sugary finish that doesn't get overbearing. It's not just like I don't know, sucking on a couple of sugar cubes or anything like that. It's not. It's not just like sugar for sugar's sakes. Um, Tanner's not too familiar, but that's my thought on the French oak with the vanillas. So the finish. There's some oak tannins, a little bit of the dark cherry fruit even comes out in the finish. Oak tannins and that light pancake syrup sweetness is traveling through in the finish. And I mean, look at the legs. Pretty nice for just about 50% ABV. And that toasty, oaky maple note is really going on. It's a medium towards a full finishing whiskey. I will also give that a 17 out of 20. And your mileages may vary with what you think value is here. So out of 10 points is where the value is. And for me, at least, it was a $65 American bottle of bourbon. I think it's worth all of that money definitely in my book. It's got real nice drinking flavors, real desserty quality, real easygoing. I kind of wish that a little bit of the alcohol was a little more refined. It's a little sharp in the back end, but not too bad. I really like the presentation again. I really like the flavors. I think anybody that's into sweeter bourbons, this is going to be quite up their alley. And again, at $65, I would buy this from time to time. I wouldn't buy this every time I want to grab some new whiskey, but a couple of times throughout the year, I would buy something just like this, maybe even this one. I'd like to try their Amberana. I'd like to try other Amberana wood finishes and other things done in maple. The other one that's comparable to this, most likely, is the Widow Jane Decadence, which is also a maple finished. So I don't know how old that is, but for value overall, I may just be crazy enough at $65 to give it an 8 out of 10 on that value. You know what? We're going to be conservative at 7. We'll be conservative at 7. I don't know of a lot of other maple barrel finished things that are out there. This is the only one that I've really tried. Be a little generous. 7 out of 10. Let me put a little bit of water in here and see if any of my notes change. I will drink a little bit of water and clear the palate. Let me put some water. I like 2 straws of some ice cold water in my bourbons for reviews. And we'll quickly mention anything that may have changed in the flavors, mouthfeel, finish, nosing, update scores if I need, and then go from there for the final thoughts and the grade. All right. Whoa. The nose got certainly amplified with that buttery maple syrup note. Even more vanillas and cinnamons pop out of the glass on that note. I think 18 out of 20 is great for the nosing still. This is even more desserty with some water in it. Cream, vanilla creams are really jumping out of the glass. Even something that you could akin to even like a whipped cream smell. I will continue with an 18 out of 20 on the smell, on the nosing. Flavors here. More oak tanniny notes come out. More of the bourbon style corn sweetness is coming out. There is the maple. There is the French oak with the vanilla coming out. That's a little more cooked sugars before they become caramel. And there's more of like a rye spicy note that's now coming out with the flavor. I think I liked it better neat without any water addition for that actual flavor. The nose was a little nicer. Keep the same rating there. But the flavor got a little more cinnamon, spicy, rye kind of notes. Maybe a touch herbal or minty. The mouthfeel, keep that flavor at an 18. The mouthfeel got super oily and viscous. Super oily and viscous, super mouth coating. I'm going to bump that up to an 18. That's really nice. Got some nice oily viscosity to it. And the finish is super baking spice, just spicy, not black peppery, more like that herbal kind of a note to it. Definitely a spicy cinnamon. Maybe not quite a red hot candy cinnamon, but it's going in said direction. And there's a red cherry, a dark red cherry note that's continuing on. Not my favorite finishing flavor there with the water. I liked it better without water. So I'll stick to a 17 out of 20, and I will stick as well to the 7 out of 10 for the value. So if I use the calculator and do all the tabulations here, 18, 17 plus 7. All right. We get an overall score on the East Coast Liquor Reviews, 6 categories for whiskey ratings, 100-point system. We get a grand total of an 87 out of 100. And up until this point in my whiskey journey that maybe you've seen here on YouTube or posted on Facebook or through even doing some stuff with East Coast Liquor Review on a Monday night, this is one of the better whiskeys in bourbons that I've tried in my lifetime. I really, really, really like this. However, caveat to this particular bourbon is you're gonna have to really want the sweeter, desserty bourbons and sweeter notes overall. And on my description, I will update that. On my description down below, I wrote that the value is out of 20 instead of 10. But luckily, I did rate this out of 10 for value. So I will update that when this review is done. But 87 out of 100. I think this is a great tasting bourbon that does warrant its $65 rating or $65 about price point. Your mileage may vary what it's for. Another $10 cheaper, you can get their Blue Label RD1 does a straight bourbon whiskey. I would be curious at some point in my life to buy that and try it. So sweet dessert bourbon, I did have some of that with Thanksgiving with some dessert. I did have that outside with a little fire on the deck with my American Thanksgiving. It worked really nicely. So I can't complain. People either love or hate. I don't know if they love or hate, but there are some people that aren't so keen on the finished products when it comes to bourbons, where maybe like in this aspect, it really the finishing overrides the flavor of the bourbon itself, but I really just enjoy the flavor. I really think there's a breadth of flavor. It's a great dram. I'm kind of rambling on. 87, not too shabby. So if you've had the RD1 bourbon whiskey, double finish in oak and maple barrels, let me know. And if you've had anything aged in maple barrels from a bourbon or a rye whiskey or any other kind of whiskeys, let me know in the comment section below. Until next time, cheers, Bumpy Road. And until next time, keep tasting those great whiskeys. Cheers. We'll see you soon. Bye.